Stop. Don't go anywhere too fast. It's time to listen to a Head Over the Footy podcast.
Hello and welcome to Head Over the Footy. Big episode coming up today. It's episode 23. And I tell you what, it's a good one. It's always good.
We should start naming each episode after a favourite player who wore that number.
Oh, that's a good one.
But not an obvious, and we can call it like, the obvious thing would be the Buddy Franklin episode, but think about something more interesting than that, like a different number 23,
Yeah.
an underrated number 23.
We better get onto it quickly because the numbers are growing and they're getting higher and higher.
Yeah,
But it's
true.
a good time though. These numbers are good at the moment.
We could do our favourite AFL player who played exactly 23 games.
Yeah, I don't know, that would be pretty hard.
That would be good.
Trying to think of one that could have, let's go with Jared Pickett. See how many he
I like
played.
the numbers idea. The number of games, people...
That's my
can't-
guess for
they're not
someone who
as familiar
played
with
just
how many
23
games people
games.
have played.
Jared Pickett. Let's have a look at when he played.
All right. Well, today we're going to get into the round 12 preview.
He played 17 games.
Yep. There's a few buys today. There's a few buys in this round, but there's a few cracking games. And let's crack right into it. We're going to give you the top 3 games to watch, and we're going to preview some of these games. And it's starting off with Thursday night. It's Port Adelaide taking on Carlton. Now, this is quite a big game. It's at Adelaide Oval. Carlton, you guys are just inside the top 8. You're 8th. And Charlie, what does this game mean to you as a Carlton supporter? You're playing Port Adelaide at their ground. And, you know, it's been a little bit shaky for the Blue Baggers over the last month or so.
I think this is a really good opportunity for us.
Yes.
I think we're a pretty good team. I think we've got some issues, being that our system isn't good enough to sort of mean that we can stay a really high performing team with some key outs. But when we've got all our best players in, I think we're pretty good. When we've got Saad back, he was a big inclusion. We had our actual backline for the first time, like our best backline this year against Gold Coast, and they proved it. That was with Kemp in and not Marchbank, which is good to see Kemp staying in. I think that the Blues should persist with him every week. But I think that this is really good.
We love Kempy, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
We have
fan.
interviewed him here at Head Over the Footy, so go back and check that episode out. One of our favourites.
I think that we could win this game. I think that Port Adelaide are pretty shaky. They won that game against Hawthorn that they shouldn't have. Well, they deserve to win it, but they got lucky.
Have. Yeah.
And
It is a good opportunity.
how did they go again this week? They
had a good
They
win
beat
over
North, all right? So in terms of getting Port at home, this is prime for us because they're obviously not in that good form. They beat North because everyone does. They snuck away with a victory against Hawthorn, so they still have that fake victory still sort of in their system. It's a real victory, but in terms of like emotionally speaking, it's like in their heads it counts as a win, and they would have celebrated it, you imagine, because everyone celebrates wins, but it's just got, it's on shaky fixtures, that win. And what I'm saying is they're very gettable at the moment, I feel.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what though.
It's hard to stack up against their midfield.
I'll say this about Carlton. You guys couldn't beat Geelong, couldn't beat Collingwood, and you couldn't beat Sydney. You got pumped to Sydney. So is Carlton a team that can match up against some of these top-tier AFL clubs?
Yes.
Well, you proved it against Melbourne, but you only beat them by a point. And who else have you proved it against? There's real question marks on Carlton. They are a fucking dreadful outfit. Now you might think I'm being. I'm being fucking weird here, right? But your outfit, you're run by a shocking coach in Michael Voss. Your president's a misery, and all your supporters are screwed.
All right.
Okay,
I'm glad that you're finally
joking.
letting it
that
out.
Last half an hour, that last 30 seconds was all a joke.
I've endured
just want to clear that up, okay?
years of this Usually you
No, you don't go
usually
there.
you try and do it insidiously, and you try and just sort of let the
No, I
anti-Carlton
do
diatribe
not.
sort of
Hey,
slowly
no,
infiltrate the
This
conversation.
this can't go on the
But
podcast.
you've just let the mask
this is
slip.
nonsense.
You've let
I
the
like
mask.
Carlton. You know I like
You've
him.
let the mask
No.
slip
No,
there. In a moment,
you know I like Carlton.
all of that
So-
work you've done, where you've tried to justify each little Carlton criticism with
You
good
know I
insight
like-
and
Hey.
fair judgments on players. You've let it all slip
No.
because you've just let the hatred.
I personally know a few Carlton players. I like Carlton. And I think Michael Voss is doing a really good job because last year he almost lost his job. You were calling for him to go.
I didn't.
Don't lie.
No, that's not true.
No. I
no.
made that up. I made that up.
I never called for him to go. I turned a blind eye while others did.
Yeah. 80% of Carlton
Wait,
supporters
so you-
were calling for
Where did
him
you
to
get
go.
that stat from?
Mate, it was about 80%. He was gone, Charlie. He was gone.
Yeah, well, it's a testament to
But,
Luke
so
Sayers
wait,
and
you're
Brian
saying
Cook.
you weren't holding the knife, but you saw others holding the knife and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
happened to walk away?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't mind because I was done with calling for Carlton supporters to be sacked. I'd done enough in my time. Like, I was done for it. Like it was. But if others was going to do it, then that's fine because we were playing so badly. But what I will say is, and this isn't a lie. Maybe I've said this once. We played a game against Melbourne where we lost early in the season. It was another bad loss. Blake Acres had the ball at one stage, and I remember having this. I'd actually had a few drinks. Courtesy of James Spears, fan of the show, and
Great, man.
potential host as well, future
Oh,
guest,
well,
future guest.
Okay, I didn't know that he was interested.
Yeah, very interested.
Good to know.
Yeah, and I remember just seeing Acres with the ball in that white Carlton away Guernsey, and I just thought that everything was going to be okay. Then, like, it was just this beautiful feeling, like, okay, I believe in Vossi. Then that was before we got so bad, and I won't lie, I was thinking maybe he does need to go because we're playing so poorly with such good players. And then, the rest is history. And then it was Blake Acres who had the greatest moment of in that same white Guernsey, in that same pocket, pretty much, that I first had that vision. So it was beautiful. But anyway, that was a bit
I do
self-indulgent. But anyway, I think Carlton, I think that people are down on us at the moment, but I think that we could finish top 6 for sure.
Yeah.
Easily top 6.
Well, it's a big
We could
game.
also finish 10th.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when you got Essendon after this, which will be a massive game.
That'll be big, yeah.
That'd be big.
And then you
Who are
got
you playing this week?
the
Gold
bye.
Coast. Gold Coast.
Okay, so Essendon, they're going to be pretty ripe for the picking, especially if they
Wait,
beat Gold Coast.
But
'cause-
Charlie, Carlton have to win this week or next week. Because,
I
because
agree.
then Carlton's got the bye, then they've got Geelong. And
Agreed.
Then, and then you guys have got Richmond, which should be win.
I think we've got to beat
You don't want to
Essendon.
be losing. You guys could. You've got 3 tough games coming up. You want to win at least one of them.
Yeah.
And if you lose this week, then you got Essendon, then you got Geelong.
Yeah.
So it's
I think what's
it's
going to happen is
important
we'll
times.
probably lose to Port Adelaide, and then I would say probably beat Essendon. But who knows what's going to happen?
you can't. Yeah. Any.
I
of these
wouldn't
games.
even mind if we lost to Port because we'll need that win against Essendon, and they're easier to beat, I think, than Porter.
Yeah. Well.
And if Essendon just beat Gold
You'd
Coast
hope
again,
that the players aren't thinking like this.
but I think that, well, I'm obviously a big proponent of like the bounce back theory, but I think that I really hope that Essendon beat Gold Coast this week, because if they lose to Gold Coast, I think that they're going to come out, more ready to go against the Blues.
Absolutely.
If Carlton beat Port and Essendon lose to Gold Coast, put your house on Essendon winning.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about house, but yeah. $10.
Essendon play better against better teams. And
Yeah.
Gold Coast will have a point to prove as well. But
They're playing at home as well, Gold Coast.
yeah.
So that's a good one on Sunday.
But there'll be probably as many Essendon supporters there as Gold Coast supporters. It's getting cold. There'll be people from Melbourne up there.
True. Actually, you know what? That just tells me that I need to try and get into
My
state for a
worst
game.
nightmare this week is that Gold Coast win and that Carlton lose, because then I feel like that could be bad news, because then Essendon could
What
beat
about
us.
Collingwood Bulldogs? Friday night. This is a good game.
Doggy's injuries are a bit much, aren't they?
Collingwood,
Also, it's
Collingwood's are as well. But
Is it at the
Doggies-
G?
It's at Marvel.
Ooh.
So that should be an intriguing one. And then we've got Hawthorn Adelaide on Saturday Arvo. I'm covering this game.
That'll be a
For
great
Herald
game,
Sun.
I think.
So
If
looking
Hawthorn win that, maybe they'll start talking finals.
Yeah, it's interesting how the teams that have considered the worst have switched, because at first it was Hawthorn and North and West Coast were one bracket, and then now Hawthorn's just got out of that completely. West Coast kind of seem like they could soon, and they're being replaced by potentially St Kilda.
Well, Hawthorn can go as high as
And Richmond, obviously.
12th and 11th if they win this game. So, and Adelaide, they can go as high as, they'll creep up to 10. So, a lot at stake here for both teams.
When does Ross get put under some pressure? Aside from the pressure you put him under?
I think next year.
Next year, see, if he was Beveridge, he'd be... Anyway, different coaches, different situations.
Yeah, Beveridge has a
been there
premiership.
for a while.
Yeah, and he's a premiership coach.
Yeah. But I think the pressure's on Ross now, but it'll ramp up a bit more than that now. If he loses a few more games,
He won't get sacked though.
No.
And that could be a good thing, having getting a top pick this year.
But St Kilda, at the start of the season, their president Andrew Bassett was talking about, they've almost finished climbing the hill, and they're almost at the top of the hill, and they're about to go downhill and have a glory run.
Yeah.
I heard him say
I'll tell you what,
he
they've
said
slipped down that hill, and now they're climbing, and they're halfway up.
He said that they didn't want to risk being stuck in the 6th to 10th zone. When they're the 15th.
He said that at the start of the year.
He said something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're nowhere near where they thought they'd be, St Kilda.
But it's
They're
probably
struggling.
better for them to finish
I know
16th than
it's just
for them
hard
to
with
finish
Ross. Like Ross
10th.
must be in, like they just must say to Ross, look, you can stay here for as long as you want. Just wait for us to get some good players. But they might have them. That's why I think St Kilda are a really interesting team to track, because they seem to be so like people are so optimistic about them sometimes from what I see, and then they can also easily just end up being considered the most depressing case in the AFL just because I guess of their history and everything.
Yeah, the other thing with Saints, right, Charlie, is St Kilda. The coaching group that Ross Lyon's got is perfect. I think he got Lenny Hayes in, he got Corey Enright, he got everyone he wanted, Ross Lyon. And it's just been a disastrous season for him. But the good thing is, well, I shouldn't say this. It's disrespecting. We are on it.
Okay, sorry.
We're disrespecting West Coast, but they've got West Coast this week, St Kilda.
Yeah, that's...
I'm disrespecting, but at the same time...
Mate, and West Coast are
it's at Perth
favourites.
Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, it's not really disrespecting. They're lower down the ladder. They got a young list, so good opportunity for St Kilda.
West Coast should be favourites for that.
Yeah, they should be favourites. I mean, it's an indictment on St Kilda, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
that West Coast is coming off a 100-point loss, effectively, 99-point loss.
That'd be an embarrassment if West Coast go in as favourites.
Yeah, there wouldn't be that much pressure
on West Coast,
even after that loss.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah.
They've been good at home, West Coast.
That's going to be a good game.
They've been good at home.
I think West Coast are going to be so funny all season. They'll probably keep on having these 100-point losses and then keep on winning, games against all right teams at home. And they'll just be like, you never know what to expect.
You just don't. You don't. Even last week we saw Hawthorn beat Brisbane, unexpected result. All right. Geelong-Richmond, Saturday night. This one should go the way of Geelong. It's at GMHBA as well, I believe. Actually, no, this one might be at the G. No, it's at GMHBA. So Richmond travelling down the highway. Should get the job done there, but you never know. You never know.
This is going to be an awful
GWS beat Geelong.
For Richmond supporters, because Richmond supporters hate Geelong.
Yeah, they do for some weird reason.
And Geelong supporters, I think, also don't like Richmond that much. It's a nice little rivalry. And so you're just going to see it. And Richmond supporters also, I think, are just the angriest fans in the competition by far.
Are you saying that
and
they're going to get beaten this week, Richmond?
I think it's going to be a tough week for Richmond fans because they might witness a much bigger Geelong side decimate them.
Yeah.
And they'll hate that because they hate Geelong so much. But who knows? Maybe that rivalry will mean that they kick into gear and they take it up to the Cats.
I think it's more the fans and the players, though.
Yeah. It's the fans. Richmond fans hate them.
I think Geelong, could get ugly. Geelong are going to be angry.
Yeah.
After losing 4 in a row.
Yeah. It could. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And Richmond had a decent performance.
Yeah, this could be an absolute belting from Geelong.
I think this could be the low point for Richmond fan seasons because they hate Geelong. And
Uze gone?
Yeah, you should be.
Because it's interesting because Richmond were all getting Taranto and Hopper. They were like, oh, we're going to be Geelong. We're not going to be Hawthorn. And I feel like Geelong might just stick the boot in and say, listen, you are not Geelong. we are Geelong.
Yeah, and now Richmond aren't even
We
Hawthorn
are the
either.
ones who stay up.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, it's bad
Yeah.
enough as well for Richmond supporters to have to go west and go to Marvel Stadium. Now they're going to have to go southwest to GMHBA. It's a nightmare for them.
They probably won't go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the ones that do, it's going to be a long drive back home.
right, we're really all buying into this. They're going to get smashed. I hope it happens now.
Well, Geelong's lost 4 straight, and they're playing at GMHBA. If they don't win this one, like, it'll be the most shocking result of the season.
I think they'll win by, I'd say, if
10
they
goals
lose,
minimum.
if they don't win by more than 60 points, I'd be surprised.
There you go. All right. I can't speak. Melbourne Freo. Last game of the round. We've already spoken about the last one, which is Gold Coast Essendon. The last one that we'll speak about is Melbourne Freo. Quick tips for this one. I'm going with Melbourne.
Where is it?
Where is it? Yeah.
G.
What time?
1 Sunday.
There should be more time slot
Mm.
things when you consider a game's playing. I want to see data on who performs
I
best.
feel
and
like
which
Melbourne
time
and
Tip I
Freo.
said.
I feel like Melbourne Freo played
Big
good
tip.
games at the G, like close games.
slot. Yeah, they did last year.
Yes.
I think.
No. Yep.
I
Freo have not lost that in Melbourne this season. They've won 3 games in Melbourne. They've played 3. They've won all of them.
Were they all at the Marvel?
No, 1 was at the G, 2 at Marvel.
I reckon Freo sneaky chance.
Well, they are, considering what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Freo. I think I might tip Freo.
Yeah. Well, look, Freo will be doing everything they can to maintain their undefeated run in Melbourne, but I think it'll come to an end, and it's rare to see teams win 4 in a row in Melbourne. So, especially if you're from interstate. So I'm going with Melbourne. Anyway, my tipping, go against what I say. Top 3 games to watch this round. Starting off with number 3, I'll say West Coast St Kilda. Harley Reid show.
Can I ask a question?
Playing against an under fire Ross Lyon.
Have you analysed the data and seen if the games that you predict are the best games to watch that round